Well, welcome to Gear Talk. Here we are in the studio once again. We have our guests today with us. We have Christine Campbell, and we also have Blake Johnston. And it's great to have you here. Where do you guys hail from? Where's home right now?
Halifax now, but
Halifax?
PEI originally.
And how about you, Blake?
I grew up about 25 minutes, half hour outside of Halifax in Nova Scotia. So small town called Mount Uniacke. Not many people have heard of it, but in case you have, you can look it up.
Well, welcome to Kingsville, Ontario. What we're going to talk about today is your guitars. You both brought in some very sweet guitars. I'm really loving this little guitar right here because I have the exact same guitar.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and I fell in love with it. One day I was at Long McQuaid's in Windsor, and that guitar was hanging on the wall. And just one look, and I was done. J45 has been my favorite Gibson for many, many years. So how did you meet up with these two guitars?
You want to go first?
Okay. Similar story, to be honest. I needed an acoustic, one that plugged in, and I went to Long McQuaid in Halifax, and this was on the wall, and then it had that ding in it there. So I don't know how much exactly I paid for it, but it was in the 800 range, used with a big cosmetic flaw on the front of it. So in my mind, I thought I think I'm getting a deal. This, I don't know exactly what the estimated price new would have been, but I thought, well, maybe I'm getting, $1,000 or a little over $1,000 guitar for $800. And to be honest, when I first picked it up, the guitar sounds really good, but the fretboard's kind of wide. And at first I thought, I don't know if I like this, but I listened to the wallet more than I did anything else. Just like, I need a guitar, I have to do this, and this is cheaper and it's a solid guitar. So I took it home. Well, I financed it. The financing program at Long McQuaid is incredibly friendly. So I financed it, and it's just been my workhorse ever since. For a while, it was the only acoustic guitar I had, and to be honest, before I started playing with Christine, I only really wrote on the acoustic. I just kept it home and played with it. I think I only needed it for like 1 or 2 gigs. I need a guitar that plugs in. I probably could have rented one, but I'm glad I ended up buying it, and it is completely paid off now. It's mine. And it's. I mean, I'm honestly waiting for the day that it kind of falls apart, because I've only ever had this taken into somebody once or twice to have any work done to it, and it's held up. It needs a refret really bad, and it could probably use to have the pickup swapped out. But other than that, it's served me more than well, and I've definitely gotten my money and made my money back on this guitar. So it doesn't have a crazy interesting story other than it's the one. So
Well, that's great. What I like too is when you buy a guitar that does have its first ding in it, you don't have to worry about
absolutely.
it. Just start playing it.
Absolutely. I would be a little bit sad if something happened to it, but the sentimental value isn't that high. As far as how I look at the guitar, it's just
pretty cool.
The case is
pretty
very
cool.
Yeah.
But if it falls apart tomorrow, like again, I'm more than happy, and the guitar has totally served me well. So it's just like an old friend, and one day I know that it's fairly soon. It's probably going to have to be retired from. If I want to keep it for 30 years, it's probably going to have to stay in the house. But for now, it's what pays the bills, really. So
that's one you can pass on to Sam.
Absolutely, for sure. Hopefully, it will last that long. It's starting to accumulate damage. One day it's going to be a casualty, for sure, but maybe he can kick around the house a little bit.
And I think Guild's logo is made to be played. So it's perfect. You're making it happen.
It is. That's actually, it is. It's right in there. That's what it says, made to be played.
Made to be played. So that's a wonderful Guild thing. How about your guitar, Christine? How did you meet this one?
Well, actually, I've had a ton of different acoustics in the past, but I bought Blake's guitar because I loved how he was making it sound, but I need the cutaway. I've tried without it and like smashed my hand into here. Yeah. Still used to the songs I've written up here. So I got it, and it was good, except in big theaters the pickup wasn't really what I wanted. So I felt like I really needed, like, as much as electrics, like I keep building up the electric. But unfortunately that's not what pays the bills as much the acoustic is, so I really needed something more solid, and I had to, for once, like I've even walked out of a guitar shop with more electrics and no amps still, so that just keeps building, and it's got no purpose in the end of the day if you don't have the other stuff. But I just needed something that was going to be really solid, that I could really trust the pickup, and I was trying for months different guitars, and all the new guitars these days seem really bright. Like bright's nice once in a while, or like for the odd solo, but if you're really kind of holding down the percussion or rhythm section like Blake and I kind of do for each other, you need like a nice thick tone as well. And you could turn up the treble up here a little bit for your like solos to make them kind of cut through a little bit better. The only thing with it, unfortunately, and I still use my other guild as my backup, but I didn't, like, first I kind of had to get the pickup just slightly placed, as what happens with a lot of different guitars, and there was a couple little issues I just had to kind of get it started with, but I almost would have probably checked on it, but then I put bug spray all over it, and got bit like 50 times that day too. And
you should
it's
clarify that, like, you didn't.
I didn't just
Bug
purpose.
spray on the
No,
guitar.
yes, on me,
It
I
was
was
over
the guitar, and so now it's all like melted, and I don't know what's happening here. This is coming off. So it's really getting Stevie Ray Vaughan-ified. It was worth like $5,000 with HST and interest. Now it's probably worth $50.
Oh, no.
And I'll be paying it off with my financing plan for the next like 3 or 4 years. But it still sounds good, and that's all that's important. So every little bit of
nobody
history.
from Long McQuaid is watching that. It's still
Well, I
being
can't
paid
return
for.
it anyway. It's not like, oh, I don't see a scratch. The whole thing is like melted. But I always, one thing I will admit, like even when I've gotten my other guitars, I almost try to kind of scratch them. I don't want to bang them and hurt them, like so that the mechanical side of things gets affected. But I love scratches. I love like, I don't want it to be fake either. I want it to be imprints of your history of playing, where you play the most, the little grooves and everything. So I mean, this is obviously a little bit of a jump start, but
That's all right.
I do love it. And I still love the other guild too. They have their pros and cons, all of them, but I am still really glad to have it. It's obviously a standard. So
Yeah, good for you. Well, and I like that you both have Sunburst. I'm a big Sunburst fan, and you've got 2 wonderful examples of Sunburst guitars here. Okay, Blake and Christine, thanks for coming to the studio today and sharing your guitar stories with us on Gear Talk.
Thank you so
thanks
much.
for having us.